क्या होता है अहल्या वाली स्टोरी में, ब्रीफ में?
So I think, as far as I remember, the episode that happened was Indra took the form of her husband, and he seduced her, and for which she was later cursed by her husband and turned into a stone. And I guess it was something like, unless Shri Ram comes and perhaps steps on you, till then your curse won't be broken.
Is this story fair? Absolutely not. Right? Absolutely not. आज हम श्री राम को भगवान मानते हैं, तब तो चलो ठीक है. But if somebody is not considering the divinity, उसको आप कहो एक तो एक स्त्री का कोई फॉल्ट नहीं था, उसको आपने एक तो जबरदस्ती चीट किया. चीट करने के बाद, instead of understanding her issues, you curse her, you make her a stone, and then you get some young guy come and step on her. How unfair is this? Right? And I will not blame any girl who feels really hurt with this story. Absolutely, I hate this story. But you know what is the story in Ramayana? You know what is the story in Ramayana? Let me tell you. So, ये story कब बताते हैं ये भी मैं आपको बताती हूँ. So, श्री राम लक्ष्मण छोटे छोटे हैं, वो उन्होंने विश्वामित्र का, and here Vishwamitra is important. I'll come to the Vishwamitra part later on. So Vishwamitra का वो यज्ञ है, they have taken care of that yajna, they've protected that yajna, and they go ahead. And then they're going towards Mithila. तो मिथिला जब जा रहे होते हैं, तो मिथिला के बाहर उनको एक आश्रम दिखता है, और वो आश्रम देखते हैं तो बहुत ऐसे सुंदर सा बट सुनसान सा वो आश्रम लग रहा है. तो श्री राम पूछते हैं कि विश्वामित्र जी ये किन का आश्रम है? तो वो कहते हैं ये आश्रम है एक यशस्विनी देवरूपिणी अहल्या का. दिस इज हाउ ही स्टार्ट्स. यशस्विनी देवरूपिणी अहल्या का ये आश्रम है. तो वो कहते हैं यहाँ कुछ हलचल नहीं है, यहाँ सुना सुना क्यों है? तो विश्वामित्र जी उनको कथा बताते हैं. वो कहते हैं कुछ वर्ष पहले की ये कथा है, गौतम ऋषि और अहल्या यहाँ रहते थे, तब यहाँ बहुत चहल पहल होती थी. एक दिन अहल्या was very very beautiful, okay, very very beautiful. So Indra really took to her, got infatuated by her, and he wore a muni vesha, not the vesha of her husband, a muni vesha, and he comes to her and he says, Sangamam tvaya saha ichchami, I wish to have sangam with you. Then Valmiki ji tells us, Sahastraksham Vignaya Devaraja Kutuhalat. Knowing well this is Indra, excited that somebody as powerful as Indra desires me, she consents. Now think of it today. Guys, if somebody tells you Katrina Kaif desires you, will you not leave your wife and run? And it's the same, right? Think of it. Somebody so powerful desires you. वो मन में आ ही जाता है ना, wow, right? So she consents. She knows very well this is Indra, and she consents. Eventually she says, I'm very happy, tushtasmi, I'm very happy, now you run. Gacha, rakshatu mama tvamacha, Gautamat, now protect myself and yourself from Gautam, and you run. ठीक है, उतनी देर में गौतम ऋषि comes and he sees this. Okay, now ये तो infidelity हो गई ना, ठीक है? So what does Gautam Rishi do? Now who will like it? Nobody will like it. We can't even justify with any feminism today, right? So Gautam Rishi says, सबसे पहले तो he curses Indra. That is never mentioned. He curses Indra. He says you will become a napusanka. Okay, and then there is a literal description how his balls fall. उसके बाद some बकरी का ये चढ़ाव to him and all that is another story. But anyways, he is told you will become napusanka for desiring somebody else's wife like this. And to Ahalya, he says, you do prashchita. You stay here, you be vata bhakshi, nirahara, without eating, without just eating the wind, vata bhakshi. You stay here and you do tapasya. At some point, Ram will come. That will be the end of your pratigya. So if you survive till then, if you manage to continue your tapasya till then, I will come back. And this story is told. So then Vishwamitra ji says, come, let's go to that ashram. So they go to that ashram and they see Ahalya, because she's not eaten so many years and she's been so deep into tapasya, because she acknowledges that galti hui hai. And she accepts to do the prashchit on her own. And she has done that prashchit. So we are told she is glowing. There is an aura around her. And she's sitting inside the ashram. Ram and Lakshman, we are told, tasyaha padav jagrahatu. They go and they touch her feet. Because this is a Devi who managed to cleanse herself and do such an intense tapasya. See, that's the beauty of Sanatan. It recognizes that we can make mistakes in life. It recognizes we have our human frailties. But it also knows we have the potential to control those frailties, and those who can deserve the respect that they deserve. And that is why even after this, Ahalya is amongst the Panchasatis. And Sri Ram and Lakshman touch her feet. It is not that they come and touch the stone. No. And then ये सब होता है. Then they go to Mithila. Mithila में वो जो उनके राज ऋषि हैं, जनक के जो राज ऋषि हैं, he is actually the son of Ahalya, the eldest son of Ahalya. And they go and tell them that this is what happened and we met your mother. And he's like, oh wow, my mother is a Yashaswini. He says that again to be able to do this, right? And here the Vishwamitra angle becomes very important. And I'll tell you why. Because then the question is, ये सारा सिर्फ लड़कियों पे apply होता है क्या? है ना? Some thought, very smart woman will say, ये सब लड़कियों पे apply होता है क्या? To do prashchit and all that. लड़कों पे कुछ नहीं. That's why I always club it with the Vishwamitra story. And this story is very, very interesting and important. Vishwamitra was not always Vishwamitra. You know who he was? उनका नाम क्या था? He was a Raja. He was a Kshatriya Raja. His name was Kaushik. ठीक है. So once Kaushik Raja, he is roaming around the jungle. He'd gone to hunt and all that. And he ends up into the ashram of Vashisht Rishi. Now Vashisht Rishi has this cow called Shabla. ठीक है. And she is his yagna cow and all of that. Basically, वो ऐसा है, we are told that this cow can feed as many guests as they come. ठीक है. And उनका पूरा जो सेना है, सब है, सबको ये Shabla has provided food and everything for that. So Kaushik says, this is a Ratna. This guy is a Ratna. Why does an old Brahmin need it? I'm a Raja. I deserve to have this Ratna. So he tells Vashisht, आप जितना पैसा चाहिए सब ले लो. I want this cow of yours. And Vashisht Rishi says, nothing doing. She's the only treasure I have. And this is not about giving her away. She's really important for everything I do. So I'll keep her. Kaushik is like, Raja को ऐसा ना बोल दिया. So he attacks the ashram. ठीक है. And somehow we are told that बहुत सारे tribals इकट्ठे होके इनको हरा देते. So Vashisht is like, this guy defeated me. I was one of the most powerful kings. So he goes and does tapasya. ठीक है. And he gets some more powerful weapons. Weapons लेके he comes and he again attacks. In that attack, Vashisht ji, we are told that with his Brahma Balam, they have this capacity, that Siddhi, he again defeats Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra is like, this bal that I have, all this, warfare, it is of no meaning, that I couldn't defeat Vashisht, who supposedly has this Siddhi. He's a Brahma Rishi. I want to become a Brahma Rishi. Okay. So then Vishwamitra, he goes and does many years of tapasya. After a few years, we are told that Brahmaji comes and he says that, very nice, I make you Raj Rishi. And he's like, I don't want to become Raj Rishi, I want to become Brahma Rishi. And Brahmaji is like, ऐसा सब कुछ नहीं होता है. You can't just become Brahma Rishi. You are not at that state right now. So he says, okay. And then there is some incident. And then ek baar, what happens is he's still doing tapasya. Now he's become Maharishi also. But he's still not Brahma Rishi. Okay. So then, no, I think he's not yet Maharishi. This is before Maharishi. So then ek din he's doing tapasya somewhere and Menaka comes. Okay, Menaka is this very beautiful apsara. So when Vishwamitra sees her, he becomes fully lattu. Okay, and they live together for some 10 years. Then it strikes Vishwamitra ki tabhi he's still not Vishwamitra, he's Kaushik. It strikes him, I was doing tapasya, I forgot about it because I gave in to my lust, to my काम. So ये तो चला गया. So he's lost all the city he's done, right? Because he gave in to काम. So he tells Menaka, bhai tum jao, I need to get back to my tapasya. So he gets back to his tapasya. So although he had become a Raj Rishi, he hadn't controlled his lust. Okay? So he did not get any progression. So then he goes back, he does his tapasya. Then one day, Indra sends Rambha, another apsara. Okay? And Rambha tries to seduce him. By this time, Kaushik has controlled his lust. So he realizes what's happening, that Rambha is janbujke trying to seduce him. So he becomes very angry and he curses Rambha. But the moment he does that, kya hua? Back to square one. काम पे विजय पाली, क्रोध पे तो विजय पाई नहीं है, right? Again he has to do his tapasya, ठीक है? Then after some time वो महर्षि वगैरह हो गए, and then he decides, okay, अभी मुझे गुस्सा भी नहीं होना, मैं किसी को कुछ कहूँगा नहीं. Again he starts his tapasya. Then he's decided कि इतने time तक I will do some अनुष्ठान. Once that अनुष्ठान ends, he's made some food. He'd not eaten for many years, ठीक है? तो वो eventual अनुष्ठान के लिए he's prepared some food and he's about to eat. When Indra comes again to take his pariksha, and he comes as an atithi और बोलते हैं मुझे भूख लगी है, and everything that this guy had made to eat after so many years वो खा जाते हैं, and he's thinking maybe he'll become angry now, ठीक है? But now finally he's gained control over his काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मद, मात्सर्य, all of that. So there is another instance of that loभ also which has come. I'm not going into details over that. Finally, when he sees that Atithi has eaten, he's like, okay, doesn't matter. He goes back to his tapasya very calmly, without any anger, without any outburst and anything. Then Brahmaji comes. He's like, yeah, now I make you Brahma Rishi because you have, through intense tapasya, gained control over Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya, the Shada Ripus that we talk of, right? So, and then he becomes Vishwamitra. And at that time, Vishwamitra says, I will not agree if you tell me I am a Brahma Rishi. Only if Vasishthaji tells me that I have achieved that stage, I will accept. So Vasishthaji comes and he says, yes, I accept you are a Brahma Rishi. But the very fact that started this tapasya was revenge, right? That revenge is not there anymore. It's gone. Okay. So even for somebody like Vishwamitra, who we regard so highly today, getting control over Kam, Krodha, Lobha was not easy. And he went through hazaron varsh ki tapasya, we are told. Tabhi he became Vishwamitra. Same thing with Ahalya, no? And that is why, who better than Vishwamitra to understand that it is possible to slip? It is possible to slip, but doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Life gives you a chance. But you have to acknowledge. You have to be aware. You have to accept and work towards gaining control over those instincts of ours, right? And then you will also become one of the Panchasatis in spite of whatever happened before. That is the status which our Sanatan Dharma accords to men or women. The key is control over your Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. Actually, these are the things which separate the Pandavas from the Kauravas. They have a lot more control on their instincts, on the basic instincts. The others don't. That is what separates Ram from Ravan. It is not about identities. It is not about Aryan Dravidian. No, it is not about jatis. It is basically this. जिन्होंने अपने षड रिपुओं पर कंट्रोल पा लिया, they will end up taking better decisions in life. That is what objectivity is all about, right? What is being objective? Being able to see a situation without biases. Now, what is bringing those biases? Anger, jealousy, desire, right? As long as these things cloud our brains, we will not be able to take better decisions. We all know that. It is as simple as that. Then why do we need to know itihaas for what it is? To be able to learn this. that who makes right decisions, who makes wrong decisions, and what happens when wrong decisions are made and why wrong decisions are made. It is not as if they weren't warned and still those decisions got made, right? So then what is itihaas all about? One, understanding dharma, knowing there are dharma sankats and we have to deal with those dharma sankats. And lastly, how do you manage to take a right decision in those dharma sankats? When you manage to develop what Krishna calls a yogastha buddhi, which is basically developing that objectivity in the life by controlling the basest instincts that we have as humans. Okay? कर्म की बात करते हैं, ठीक है? कर्म और कर्मफल. If there was no free will, would it be fair for us to go through the karmafal? सनातन धर्म as a concept of कर्मफल, ठीक है? But अगर free will ही नहीं है, if we are doing it because it's been predestined, then why should we bear the consequences at all, right? Which means there is definitely free will per the principle of karma itself, right? But is it only free will? Because if that was the case, then things would go according to our desire, will, all of that, right? जो हम चाहते वैसा होता, right? तो free will तो है, and free will के हिसाब से action भी है. We can choose to do what we want to do, है ना? We can कर सकते हैं. What is not in our control is the outcome. The most famous shlok of Gita, what does it say? कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. कर्म फल की अपेक्षा ना करो, ऐसा नहीं है. Lot of times it's translated as फल की अपेक्षा ही मत करो. Don't desire फल. No, that's not what it says. It says कर्म पर अधिकार है, फल पर अधिकार नहीं है. You don't have control over your outcome. But then what does the outcome depend on? It has to do something with our action, no? Otherwise तो फिर क्या point है, right? Actually Krishna only gives this answer. In the 18th adhyay, 18th chapter में कृष्ण स्वयं बताते हैं. He says कोई भी कार्य की सिद्धि या असिद्धि, success या failure, depends on 5 factors. Okay. And you guys are doing projects, so I'm guessing you will be able to relate. कौन से हैं वो 5 factors? One is karta, the doer. Okay. In your project, if there is a person who does not know only anything or has no skill, तो वो काम successful होगा क्या? The outcome is going to fail, right? Outcome तो अच्छा नहीं होगा. Karan, the resources used, the instruments used. If you use the wrong software, if the software is badly made, will the outcome be as per your desire? No. Prithak vidha cheshta, various processes. There has to be a process followed, no, in doing anything. अगर वो ऊपर नीचे कर दिया तो क्या होगा? The outcome is not going to be as per your desire. Adhishthana, the surrounding conditions. Yeah, this is more the better example is say bridge बना रहे हैं या कोई भी building बना रहे हैं. Then you have to see ना कि कैसे जमीन में भी बना रहे हैं. What is the climate like over there? ठीक है, अगर समुद्र के पास बना रहे हैं, you have to do it in a certain way, right? So adhishthana, that matters. If that is not taken care of, again it's going to fail. Whatever your project is, it's going to fail. Now these 4 are fully under your control. Karta, Karan, Prithakvidha Cheshtha, Adhishthana. All this, whoever is doing it can decide, right? So this is a part of free will. But Krishna says, along with this, there is one more, which is Panchamiti Daivam. The 5th is destiny. Now that destiny, you call it destiny, you call it probability, or in project management, what do you call it? Huh? Possibility, but there is something that you account for in every project. Huh? Risk factor. Right? This kitna bhi aap kar lo, there is still a risk factor that you can't do anything about. Right? He's saying this is that Daivam factor. So it is possible that after doing all those 4 right, the outcome might not be what you think, what you expected. Because of this, अचानक से बहुत बड़ी बाढ़ आ गई, which was not expected, and everything that you've made goes for a toss, right? You've done everything. You have the best code, your best thing system is running, and suddenly Noida has a power outage. What will you do? You might have some backup. Up to we have, how do you risk management ke liye? But still, nothing under your control. You've done everything fine. However, if you don't do those 4, Daivam khud kya jak marega, right? So those 4 have to be done, which means if you need to succeed, Purusharth has to happen. The outcome then is not completely under your control. Not as you desire doesn't mean it is necessarily bad. It is not as you think it should be, right? But if you don't do Purushartha, nothing can happen. So is there free will? Absolutely. Is there an element of destiny? Absolutely. What is under our control? The actions that we do at that point in time. That will increase the chances of success. If we don't do that, there is not going to be any success, right? So then, how do we even see this aspect of destiny? That is what eventually Krishna says, do your karma and you surrender the phal to me. If you think of him as Dev or whatever, because this is not under our control. Sometimes, what we think is bad turns out to be good in the long run. Sometimes, what we think was great turns out to be terrible in the long run, right? I love, there's a beautiful story from Chinese story है, Chinese folklore है, ये बहुत पुरानी folklore है चाइना की. उसमें they say that there was this शेतकरी किसान, okay? So किसान था, अच्छा किसान था, और उसने एक नया घोड़ा खरीदा, एकदम अरबी घोड़ा, बहुत सुंदर, बहुत बड़ा घोड़ा खरीदा. And सारे जो आजू बाजू वाले जो नेबर्स हैं वो आते हैं और वो कहते हैं, अरे वाह क्या सुंदर घोड़ा है, क्या बात है, आप तो बहुत नसीब वाले हो, क्या सुंदर घोड़ा है. और ये अपना स्थितप्रज्ञ, हाँ अच्छा है बुरा है क्या पता, है वो है. रियलाइज करे ये क्या है. देन दूसरे दिन वो जो उसका बेटा है वो जाता है घोड़ा चलाने, ठीक है, वो घोड़ा चलाने जाता है एंड ही फॉल्स ऑफ एंड उसकी टांग टूट जाती है, यंग बच्चा. सो देन एवरीबडी कम, अरे रे रे ये तो घोड़ा तो बुरे नसीब लेके आया, देखो क्या हो गया, आपके यंग बेचारे लड़के के पांव टूट गए. दिस किसान इज लाइक, अच्छा बुरा किसे पता है, ठीक है. कुछ दिनों बाद द गाय स्टिल फ्रैक्चर में है, पांव टूटा हुआ है, और उनका जो राज्य है वो युद्ध पे जाता है. सो द राजा किसी और राजा के साथ युद्ध पे जाता है, एंड जितने भी यंगस्टर्स हैं, ऑल द यंगस्टर्स फ्रॉम दैट विलेज आर एनलिस्टेड इनटू द आर्मी. दिस बच्चा is saved because पांव टूटा हुआ है. So then what is good and what is bad? We don't know. What we know is we need to act if we need to succeed. Yeah, so that's how I look at it. That's how Krishna says. What I look at it, yeah. Again, dharma sankat. That's the issue, right? What are they thinking at that point? उनको लग रहा है राजा कुछ नहीं बोल रहे, गेम इनके परमिशन से हो रहा है, तो क्या करूं? Should I put my foot down as the patriarch of the family, or am I just a sevak of this kingdom? Same, exactly the same. In fact, जब युद्ध होता है ना, तब भीष्मा द्रोणाचार्य they actually say it. जब before the war starts, Yudhishthir goes to them and he bows down to them and he says, मुझे विजय का आशीर्वाद दीजिए. So they give him विजय का आशीर्वाद and then say, you ask for whatever else you want except asking us to fight on your side, because अर्थस्य पुरुषः दासः. वो कहते हैं अर्थ जो है, जहां से आजीविका आती है, उसका मनुष्य दास है. हमारी आजीविका हस्तिनापुर से आती है, इसीलिए हमारी लॉयल्टी तो वहीं पे रहेगी, लड़ाई हम तुम्हारे साथ नहीं कर सकते. और कुछ हो तो बताओ. It is the same mindset. What should they have done? चलो द्रोणाचार्य तो I don't say anything, ठीक है, but भीष्मा he could have said कि क्या नाटक लगा रखा है, बंद करो. He is the eldest gay of the family, right? Should they have stopped it? Absolutely. Absolutely, they should have stopped it. The Kutumb could have survived if that one thing could have been stopped, right? However, again, I'll say don't look at it. You haven't asked that question, I'll say it anyways. Don't look at it from a gender angle. Because Draupadi wasn't the first one to be staked. She was the last one to be staked. After all the brothers were staked, right? So if staking itself is wrong, then staking the brothers was also wrong. Staking self also was wrong, right? But then what does it tell us? In fact, भीम जो है ना, वो जब वो लोग वनवास में है, तब बहुत उनको कांडी करते रहता है. कि आपके कारण ये हुआ, आपके कारण ये हुआ, we should go fight, because of you we have to live through all this jungle and all that. And ये tells him, Yudhishthir tells him, मन्यु हरती, जो पैशन है ना उस दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम, कि अरे सब जा रहा है, सब जा रहा है. आप सोचो, इतनी मेहनत से उन्होंने इंद्रप्रस्थ बनाया है, इतनी मेहनत से स्वेट एंड ब्लड डाल के, राइट? एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट इज लॉस्ट. द ओनली थिंग यू हैव नाउ आर योर पीपल, योर भाई. व्हाट विल यू से? अगर कदाचित एक दाव लग जाए यार, एवरीथिंग विल बी सेव्ड. नहीं तो क्या? व्हाट इज माय परिस्थिति नाउ? नथिंग. आई हैव लॉस्ट एवरीथिंग. व्हाट डू आई गो बैक टू, राइट? अगर उस समय अगर युद्ध ये बंद हो जाता तो क्या हो जाता? वो लोग तो रास्ते पे आ गए थे ऑलरेडी, राइट? सो ही इज टेकिंग. उसके बाद ही सेज, अब मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है. शकुनी सेज, है, कृष्णाम पणस्व, टेक योर वाइफ. ठीक है. अगेन आप सोचो, दे आर ऑल दास, सबके सब दास बन गए. ठीक है. अब कुछ बचा है क्या? He was like, चलो let me try this, कदाचित बच जाए. So he goes on and he says lots कि वो ऐसी है, वो ऐसी है, वो ऐसी है, वो इतनी अच्छी है, and उसको मैं दांव पे लगा रहा हूँ. And he loses again. अच्छा, now there is another issue in that protection वाली जो बात है ना, it's very technical. That shouldn't have come in the way of telling to stop that natak, but still that it's a very interesting technical point. ठीक है. When Draupadi is asking, Jitam va api or Jitam va, am I one or am I not? Because I was staked after Dhritarashtra lost himself, right? So one who's lost himself, how can he stake me? This is what we asked. This is what Draupadi also asked. ठीक है. And different people gave different opinions on it. But when she asks Bhishma is like, I can't decide. Now you see the situation. A husband and a wife, it's a very solid relation. Does it break if the husband has become a das? Because that is what Karna is saying. He is telling her, if you think that you are not a dasi and he cannot stake you, then he is not your husband anymore. You go find others. And that is why Duryodhan, that is why he shows, idhar baith ja. Because now those are not your husband. Choose whoever else you want. So what is the sanctity of the system, the unit of marriage? Does it stay or does it not stay? Does that mean she's now become dasi by default? Right? So Bhishma's struggle is, if he says that no, you are not a dasi and he cannot stake you, then he's basically saying what Karna is saying, that they're not your husbands anymore, go find whoever you want. And if he says, yes, you are lost, तो द्रौपदी का क्या इज्जत रह जाता उधर? Then that would have given a stamp to whatever Duryodhana and everybody was doing. What could he have said? आप सोचो. Again, it's very easy for us to say सही किया गलत किया. I still think instead of getting into the technicality, he could have said बंद करो ये नाटक. ठीक है, sometimes you don't have to. But from a technical point of view, because Draupadi is also getting into that. She's also saying, how can I be staked? Right? Thankfully, Arjun and Vikarn and Vidur, they are all saying कि no, she cannot be a dasi. Yeah? But for Bhishma to say anything would have made it very, very tricky. He does say this. He says that we've reached at such a point that I clearly see the Kauravas are going to be destroyed now. Yeah? But this situation is also very interesting. Now, what happened was terrible. But if it had not happened, what do you think would have happened to the story? अगर द्रौपदी को स्टेक नहीं किया होता, ठीक है, और ये नाटक नहीं होता, तो क्या होता? वो तो करती, पर मैं कह रही हूँ वो कर भी देती तो फिर आगे स्टोरी में क्या होता? देखो, she came, she asked all this, ठीक है, तो ये सारा वहां पे बहस हुआ, क्या सही है, क्या गलत है. Eventually Gandhari came and she said, अरे क्या आप कर रहे हो? And then there were all these nimittas and all the pratigyas were taken by Bhim कि मैं इसकी chest फाड़ के पी लूंगा, मैं इसका थाई तोड़ दूंगा and all that, right? जिसके कारण Dhritarashtra got mighty scared and he said, ले लो, वापस ले लो. But if it had not happened, तो क्या होता? Pandavas had become das. किसी ने कुछ नहीं बोला था, आप सोचो, because it was a fair game, so to say. शकुनी चीटर वो जाने दो, बट सबके सामने हो रहा था ना. आपको लगता है कोई कहता कि नहीं नहीं ये दास नहीं है, इनको इंद्रप्रस्थ दे दो, and आपको लगता है धृतराष्ट्र would have given away? The whole trap was laid for that, ना, to take away इंद्रप्रस्थ from them. ये तो एटलीस्ट आफ्टर 13 years, अच्छा at that point तो they were let go. फिर बिकॉज युधिष्ठिर ने वापस हट किया कि नहीं करना है, वनवास पे भेजेंगे, that happened again. नहीं तो क्या होता? Now Draupadi is another beautiful and graceful character. यहाँ पे भी she is talking about whether I'm won or lost and all that. But afterwards, when Dhritarashtra says कि भाई you ask me, I'll free everything you ask me. The way the woman carries herself, oh my God, even in that trauma situation is something else, right? She says, first you free Yudhishthir so that I don't want my eldest son Prativindhya to ever be called the son of a das. And then he says, no, ask again. Then she says, you free all my husbands with their astra shastras. Okay. Then he says, ask for more. She does not ask for Indraprastha. She says, I have full faith and trust in my husbands. I am allowed, as a Rani, I can ask for only 2 boons, which I have asked. After this, I trust my husbands to do their purushartha and get back what they need to get back. Right? Now, that is that caliber and character of the lady. Of course, at that point, Dhritarashtra says, Chalo, aap le lo sab kuch. I give you Indraprastha back, only to take it back again, but still, yeah. So this is very interesting कि वो नहीं होता तो क्या ये लोग दास ही बन जाते, वो फिर तो कोई हम वहाँ बैठ के बात भी नहीं कर रहे होते. So here sometimes the angle of destiny plays out.